Welcome to Book 16. Today we're going to be looking at the excerpts that we've chosen from this book. Of course, we're looking at the Iliad, and we're looking at the Greeks versus the Trojans, the mighty war. It's going to take 10 years, and at the moment, everything going pear-shaped for the poor Greeks. They've been smashed back by the Trojans, and now they're not fighting at the walls of Troy, they're not fighting in between, they're right at the beaches, they're right at the boats where they camp. So things couldn't be any worse. And in fact, we're going to pick up the story, and the Greeks have made it, and they're fighting around the boat of Patroclus. If you can remember back, Patroclus is the dude who thought it would be a really good idea to jump off his boat first so that he could land at Troy and be the first one to land there, knowing that he would die when he did it. So good old Patroclus, what a legend. Anyway, here we go, let's pick up the story. Thus did they fight about the ship of Patroclus. Then Patroclus drew near to Achilles. So Patroclus, of course, is Achilles' cousin maybe, boyfriend maybe, so he's referred to as a relative anyway. So the fighting's happening, Patroclus comes close to Achilles with tears welling. I hope we're going to get a simile here, and we're going to find out that he's crying like some kind of river or stream or spring, we'll see. Anyway, so he drew near to Achilles with tears welling from his eyes, as from some spring whose crystal stream falls over the ledges of a high precipice. And there we go, he's crying like a waterfall. No one else, I'm sure, has ever done that. When Achilles saw him thus weeping, he was sorry for him and said, "Why, Patroclus, do you stand there weeping like some silly child?" Yeah, that sounds like he's feeling very sorry for him. And now we're going to break into an even better simile. So, you are crying or weeping like some silly child that comes running to his mother. There you go, that's a beautiful simile. That makes a lot of sense. But no, this is a Homeric simile, so it's a stupid, long, complicated one, and we're going to get lost in it. So here we go. Why, Patroclus, do you stand there weeping like some silly child that comes running to her mother and begs to be taken up and carried? She catches hold of her mother's dress to stay her, though she is in a hurry, and looks tearfully up until her mother carries her. Even such tears, Patroclus, are you now shedding. So that's a pretty cool simile. It's like the puppy dog thing, isn't it? So Patroclus is looking to Achilles like mummy, saying, "Can you look after me, please, because everything is bad. And those dastardly or mean Trojans, they've all turned up and are killing us. Oh, it's not fair." Anyway, Achilles wants to know why he's crying. So, have you anything to say to the Myrmidons or to myself? So who are the Myrmidons? Well, the Myrmidons are Achilles' people. Achilles is the king, so Patroclus and Achilles are Myrmidons. And so, have you got anything to say to us or to myself? Or have you had news from Phthia which you alone know? So are you crying because you've just got some bad news from far away? They tell me Menoetius, son of Hector, is still alive. Well, you can't be crying about that because he's alive, as also Peleus, son of Achilles. So he's trying to sound him out. He's trying to guess why Patroclus is crying among the Myrmidons. Men whose loss we too should bitterly deplore. Or are you grieving about the Greeks and the way in which they are being killed at the ships? Tada, of course he is. Through their own high-handed doings. Ooh, high-handed doings? So it's their own choice, their own things that they're doing wrong, their own actions. That's the reason why they're dying. So Achilles is putting a bit of a barb in there, and he's saying, yeah, it's their own fault. So Patroclus, why are you crying? Is it because the Greeks are dying all around you? Do not hide anything from me, but tell me that both of us may know about it. So tell me so we can both be in the know. Don't hide while you're shedding your stream of tears. So Patroclus says Achilles shouldn't be angry and should save the Greeks. If he doesn't change his mind, he has a sweet idea how they can fix things. So that's exactly it. Patroclus is sad because all of his friends are dying, all the Greeks are going to lose, and the Trojans are going to win. Which seems like a good reason to me to be crying. I would definitely be crying. I wouldn't be there in the first place, but if I was, I'd be crying like a waterfall. And he says, "Listen, Achilles, come back, fight. But if you don't want to fight, have I got a plan for you. This is going to save the day. Let me," that's Patroclus, "moreover, wear your armor. The Trojans may thus mistake me for you and quit the field." So this is his plan. If you're not going to fight, can I borrow your armor? And then everyone will think that I am you, and they will see mighty Achilles has come back. They will get scared because, of course, Achilles is the greatest of the Greek heroes, and the Trojans will run away. You might think, well, why would they think it's him if he just rocks up with his shield and a breastplate? Everyone can see it's not him. But in actual fact, the Greeks, they wore helmets, and they wore full body armor, which covered everything from the top of your head, and you'd often have a plumed helmet, all the way down to greaves which go around your shins, all the way down to your feet. So you couldn't tell who someone was. And if Patroclus is a relative of Achilles, and therefore is likely to have a similar build and look similar, and he's going to be wearing his unique armor that only Achilles has, then there would be a chance that the Trojans would mistake him for Achilles, and they might be scared enough to run away. They know they're winning the battle because Achilles is not fighting. They know they were losing when Achilles was fighting, and no one, not even Hector, can really be assured of beating Achilles if he comes back. And in fact, no one really thinks anyone can stop Achilles. Achilles is the man. Pity he's crying. So that's the plan, and we're going to pick it up again there. He's saying, if I do that, the Trojans might quit the field or run away, so that the hard-pressed sons of the Greeks, that's the Greeks, may have breathing time. So if they run away for a bit, it will allow the Greeks just to collect their breath, which while they are fighting may hardly be. You can't really have a break when you're in the middle of a fight, unless you're having a conversation with someone. Anyway, the fire was now flaring about the ship's stern, so that means the fires have reached the ships themselves. Oh my goodness, is this the end for the Greeks? Oh no! Whereon Achilles smote his 2 thighs, yea, slap slap, and said to Patroclus, Up, noble knight, for I see the glare of hostile fire at our fleet. Up, lest they destroy our ships, and there be no way by which we may retreat. Gird on your armor, or my armor, at once while I call our people together. That is one of the most classic sections from the Iliad. He's saying, oh no, the fighting that's got here. Wow, quick, you'd better get up and fight, or else we might get destroyed. If only there was someone else who could go get up and fight, but no, Achilles can't because he's still in sulky time. So if you're in sulky time, you're not allowed to go and fight. Okay, so even if everyone's going to die, no, you send your cousin into certain death. I mean, to save the day. As he spoke, Patroclus put on his armor, and you get one of the first arming scenes. They were very provocative scenes, not sexually provocative, but they were very emotional scenes, because of course the arming before you go to fight, it could be the last time you've ever seen. And in fact, throughout a lot of Greek art, the ancient Greek art, you see the warrior who you know is going to die arming, often surrounded by family members or loved ones, and it brings this pathos, this real sadness to the scene, this tension, because it's usually a calm scene. They put on the armor and they go, ooh, look at each other, and they have a bit of a sob and then a cuddle, and off they go and they die. And so you know it's going to happen. The person's still alive, but you can't hold on to them. It's quite beautiful. But anyway, Patroclus puts on Achilles' armor. And Achilles, he's now going to pray for Patroclus' safety. Once again, he's fobbing off all responsibility, passing it over to the gods, but that's the way it was. And so here we go. Here's a prayer from Achilles to Zeus. It says, Grant, O all-seeing Zeus, that victory may go with him. Put your courage into his heart, maybe into Achilles' heart would have helped, that Hector may learn whether my squire is man enough to fight alone. So Hector's going to find out whether or not Patroclus is a man, is the dude, or whether his might is only then so indomitable when I myself enter the turmoil of war. So is Patroclus really brave? Is he a great warrior, or is he only good when Achilles is with him? Afterwards, when he has chased the fight and the cry of battle from the ships, grant that he may return unharmed with his armor and his comrades, fighters in close combat. So he's saying, go out, let him be tested, but bring him home safe. O Zeus, O wonderful King of kings, King of men, make sure Patroclus comes home safe. And Zeus, of course, now that he's prayed, everything's going to be fine. I can guarantee you 100% that now Patroclus will be safe, because Zeus has heard his prayer. Thus did he pray, and all counseling Zeus heard his prayer. There you go, no problems. Patroclus will come home. Spoiler alert, no he won't. And we know this because Homer has no understanding of the way that modern movies and modern stories build up to a tension. We don't want the audience to know what is going to happen, so we give little clues and dribs and drabs, but it usually builds up to this huge tension, and then suddenly the person you think is going to win has their head chopped off, and it's the Game of Thrones way. Well, Homer didn't get that, and what he would do is he would tell the audience, and of course this is sung to them or chanted to them, he's going to foreshadow or give you a very direct description of what is going to happen. He's like the behind-the-scenes narrator, spoiler person. So Zeus heard his prayer. Part of it he did indeed vouchsafe him, but not the whole. So not all of the prayer will be listened to and will come true. He granted that Patroclus should thrust back war and battle from the ships. So that part he's going to allow. The Greeks are going to be saved, at least for now. But he refused to let him come safely out of the fight. And there's the big spoiler. Patroclus is about to die, which is a bit sad, but there you go. It was a couple of thousand years ago. You know he's dead anyway, so here we are. When he had made his drink offering, so this prayer that he was giving, it was given alongside some wine. It sounds like a very, very civilized way of praying with a bit of wine, and they would often pour some out onto the soil. It's kind of like a sacrifice, but it's a wine sacrifice instead of a sacrifice of an animal. And when he had made his drink offering, Achilles has made this offering, he's made his prayer, and he had thus prayed. Achilles went inside his tent and put back the cup into his chest. Okay, that's not, he didn't put it inside his actual physical chest, he put it inside a box, that kind of chest. You know what I'm talking about. So, Patroclus is now armed and he's ready to go. So, meanwhile, the armed band that was about Patroclus marched on till they sprang high in hope upon the Trojans. So, into battle they go. They came swarming out. I hope we get a simile here, and I hope it's not a short one. I hope it's long and confusing and complicated. I want to know how they swarmed out. I want to know. Here we go. There's a Homeric simile for you. They came swarming out like wasps, whose nests are by the roadside, and whom silly children love to tease, whereon anyone who happens to be passing may get stung. Or again, if a wayfarer or wanderer going along the road vexes them by accident, every wasp will come flying out in a fury to defend his little ones. Even with such rage and courage did the Myrmidons swarm from their ships, and their cry of battle rose heavenwards. Very good. So if you want to know what it looked like for the Myrmidons to come out fighting, it was like them wasps. And the ships rang again with the cry which the Greeks raised. And when the Trojans saw the brave son of Menoetius, and if you can't remember who the son of Menoetius is, that's Patroclus, so you can write Patroclus next to son of Menoetius. So when the Trojans saw Patroclus and his squire all gleaming in their armour, they were daunted, and their battalions or their soldiers were thrown into confusion. For they thought the fleet son of Peleus, so the son of Peleus is Achilles, fleet means he's quick, so they thought that quick old Achilles must now have put aside his anger and have been reconciled to Agamemnon. Everyone therefore looked around about to see whither he may fly for safety. So as soon as they see him, they think, right, I'm outies, where can I hide? Patroclus first aimed a spear into the middle of the press, so that's where all the men are fighting and pressed together, where men were packed most closely, by the stern of the ship of Patroclus. He hit Pyracmes, if that's how you pronounce it, who had led his Paeonian horsemen from the Myrmidon and the broad waters of the river Axius. So he throws his spears and he hits this poor dude. The spear struck him on the right shoulder, and with a groan he fell backwards in the dust. On this his men were thrown into confusion, for by killing their leader, who was the finest soldier among them, Patroclus struck panic into them all. So really it's first blood to Patroclus. He's gone in, he's thrown his spear, and by gum if he hasn't killed someone. And so everything's going very well, we've got hope again, and the Trojans were now driven back with a shout that rent the skies, while the Greeks poured after them from their ships, shouting also without ceasing. Hope we get a Homeric simile. As when Zeus, gatherer of the thundercloud, when he spreads a dense canopy on top of some lofty mountain, and all the peaks, the jutting headlands, and forest glades show out in the great light that flashes from the bursting heavens. Even so, when the Greeks had now driven back the fire from their ships, they took breath for a little while. That's a really confusing simile. What on earth is he saying? I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like when Zeus sends his lightning and there's a flash and it reveals the land, it's almost like a brief pause and a break in the weather. Perhaps that's what he's meaning. It was like a break in the fighting for a moment. There's this flash and they put out the fires, but it was only momentary. I don't know if I got that one right, but anyway, we'll plow on. so they take breath for a while. But the fury of the fight was not yet over, for the Trojans were not driven back in utter rout. So rout is when you've been completely destroyed, or you're running away and you can't fight back, but still gave battle. So even though they've been pushed back, there's still this fight going on. It's not all one-way traffic. And they were ousted from their ground only by sheer fighting. So they could only be moved back by beating them in one-to-one combat. They weren't just running away and giving up their ground easily. Meanwhile, Patroclus, with many a shout to his horses and to Myrmidon, pursued the Trojans and Lycians in pride and foolishness of his heart. So if you're doing something out of pride and foolishness, you know you're doing the wrong thing. So what is he doing? Well, Achilles had told him to go out and drive the Greeks back, but then come home safely. But he's driven them back, and now he's continuing on and fighting more. So we'll continue. Had he but obeyed the bidding of the son of Peleus, Achilles, he would have escaped death and have been scatheless, unhurt, unscratched. But the counsels of Zeus, well, they pass man's understanding. We can't understand Zeus. He will put even a brave man to flight. So Zeus will make someone run away and snatch victory from his grasp. Or again, he will set him on to fight. He'll make him keep fighting, as he now did when he put a high spirit into the heart of Patroclus. A high spirit means he gets super confident and off he goes. So whose fault is it that Patroclus went on and kept fighting instead of going back? Well, at the start of that paragraph it says it was his pride and foolishness in his heart, and then a line later it says it's actually because Zeus has put this high spirit into him. So we get mixed messages throughout Homer's writing as to who's at fault, who does the wrong thing. Sometimes it's as though the people are the ones with the failures and the character which isn't very good. But at other times, he's very clear. It's because the gods, or a particular god, has decided something and there's no way out of it. So, which way? Who knows? We'll just keep going. Who then first and who last was slain by you, O Patroclus? So who did you kill when the gods had now called you to meet your doom? Well, let's go through them. First, Adristus, Ortanos, Achilles, Pyramus, the son of Megas, Epistor, and Melanippus. After these he killed Lasus, Mulius, and Pilates. These he slew, but the rest saved themselves by flight, by running away. The sons of the Greeks would now have taken Troy by the hands of Patroclus, for his spear flew in all directions. I always wondered if his spear flies in all directions, does he throw it, have to go running after it, pick it up, pull it out of a dead body, turn around, throw it again? If so, wouldn't you just go up and bash him while he didn't have his spear with him? Did he have a whole lot of spears? If so, then why do they say his spear, only one, flew? But anyway, that's a little bit beside the point. It might be getting into too much detail considering this is just a poem. But anyway, they would have taken Troy had not Apollo taken his stand upon the wall to defeat his purpose, or defeat Patroclus' purpose, and to aid the Trojans. Hold the phone. What's the one thing the gods are not allowed to do according to Zeus? Right back at the start when we looked at the excerpts, what was the first thing Zeus says? He said, you may not interfere. If you interfere, I will take you down to Tartarus and lock you in the deepest, darkest hole. That was that whole passage. There's a whole section where he scared the other gods. And when Athene had tried and Hera had tried to interfere earlier, Zeus had given the old, no, you can't do that or I will hurt you. But now Apollo is standing up on the walls of Troy and he is doing exactly that. He is aiding the Trojans, and it's the only reason why the Greeks didn't win right now. So again, mixed messages and mixed signals. What are the beliefs of the Greeks living at this time? What was going on? It's quite interesting, and we have to just hold our judgment. And so we know that Apollo is going to stop Patroclus, and we'll pick up the story again. So thrice did Patroclus charge at an angle of the high wall. So he's at the walls of Troy now. The fighting's been pushed the whole way back to Troy. And thrice did Apollo beat him back, striking his shield with his own immortal hands. So that's the really big intervention from Apollo. He's actually fighting against Patroclus. When Patroclus was coming on like a god for yet a fourth time, so he's very brave, he's doing a good jobby here, Apollo shouted to him with an awful voice and said, "Draw back, noble Patroclus. It is not your lot, it is not for you to sack the city of the Trojan chieftains, nor yet will it be that of Achilles, who is a far better man than you are." So Apollo's letting it all out of the bag here. He's saying, Patroclus, you're not going to be the one to take Troy. Not only that, Achilles won't be the one who's going to take Troy. So you've just got Apollo fighting physically with a human, and then he's giving him a message from the gods. This is hardly serviceable suggestions, as Athene put it earlier on. This is him directly interfering with the action. On hearing this, Patroclus withdrew to some distance and avoided the anger of Apollo. Good move. Meanwhile, Hector. So Hector is the great Trojan hero. He's the prince of Troy. He's the greatest fighter. He's the Trojans' version of Achilles, except not quite as good. And he's waiting to have a fight and to fight with Achilles, or actually it's Patroclus, but he thinks it's Achilles. So meanwhile, Hector was waiting with his horses inside the Scaean gates, so one of the gates of Troy, in doubt whether to drive out again and go on fighting, or to call the army inside the gates. As he was thus doubting, Phoebus Apollo, so Phoebus, it's come up a couple of times. Phoebus just means bright, and one of Apollo's main roles as a god was he was known as a god of light. He was often described as the god of the sun, or sun god. So Phoebus Apollo, he's often referred to as Phoebus Apollo, sometimes just Phoebus, so the bright one. Intelligent one, no, bright as in light. So Apollo drew near him in the likeness of a young and lusty warrior, Asius. So he's now disguising himself as Asius and turning up and talking to Hector directly. So Asius, who was Asius? He was Hector's uncle. So Hector is the son of Priam and Hecuba, the king and queen of Troy. And Asius, it explains his heritage here. He was the brother of Hecuba, or to Hecuba, the son of Demas, who lived in Phrygia by the waters of the river Sangarius. We don't really need to know all the detail, but the reason why it's important is that this person is Hector's uncle. He's another member of the royal family. He's the brother of Mum, the queen. And so he's coming to talk to him and give him some advice, and he's more likely to listen to someone like this. So in this likeness, Zeus's son Apollo now spoke to Hector, saying, "Hector, why have you left off fighting? It is ill done of you, so you shouldn't have stopped fighting, you naughty boy. If I were as much a better man than you as I am worse, so if I was as good as you, if I was as good a fighter as I was a bad fighter, you should soon rue your slackness. I would smack your bottom, you naughty thing. Drive straight towards Patroclus. It so may be that Apollo may grant you a triumph over him, and you may rule him." Again, this is completely unfair. This is a god interfering with what is going on with the action. So Apollo has now given the odd nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Hey, you should go fight Patroclus, because I've just got a feeling that Apollo is going to let you win. And I'm Apollo, but actually I'm not. I'm actually your uncle, Asius. So, yeah, you should go fight. And that's just what happened. And so Patroclus is going to go, you know what? That's a great idea. I think I might go out and fight that guy Patroclus, just in case Apollo lets me win. So with this, the god went back into the hurly-burly, so Apollo disappears back into the middle of all of the action, and Hector bade Cebriones drive again into the fight. Apollo passed in among them and struck panic into the Greeks. Again he's interfering. Now he's making them all get panicked, while he gave triumph to Hector and the Trojans. So he's interfered. He stood up on the walls. He's fought against Patroclus. Then he's given Patroclus a warning. Then he's gone to Hector and said, "Hey, listen, I've got a great idea. You should kill Patroclus, because then Apollo will let you and it will happen." Then he's gone back into the fighting, and now he's spreading panic amongst the Greeks to let Hector through. Hector let the other Greeks alone and killed no man, but drove straight at Patroclus. Patroclus then sprang from his chariot to the ground, with a spear in his left hand, and in his right hand a jagged stone as large as his hand could hold. So he's got a big rock in his hand. Good on you. He stood still and threw it, nor did it go far without hitting someone. The cast was not in vain, for the stone struck Cebriones. And Cabriones is Hector's charioteer, and Hector does really well with his charioteers, as we've already heard in the story. They all keep dying, and this one's no different. So Hector's charioteer, a bastard son of Priam. So remember, Priam had 50 sons and 50 daughters, but this may be an extra, it might be one of them. He's a bastard, which means he was conceived out of wedlock. It's not going to be Hecuba's son, so he's one of them. I don't know if that's one of the 50, might have to do some research there, but Cabriones is one of Hector's brothers or half-brothers. And so he's hiffed a rock at him, and my goodness, what a way to go, as he held the reins in his hands. The stone hit him on the forehead and drove his brows into his head, so his eyebrows go back inside his head. Yea, for the bone was smashed, and his eyes fell to the ground at his feet. Don't ever get someone to throw a rock at you. That's why you should never throw rocks in glass houses or otherwise, because if it hits you in the head, your eyes might pop out. So the bones of his head were smashed. His eyes fell to the ground at his feet. I don't know how doctors would agree with this or not. Anyway, he dropped dead from his chariot as though he were diving. So that's a lovely little simile. He falls out of the chariot as though he's diving. And it's like he's Homer's here describing an actual event, a comic event, which is gross, but at the same time, it's meant to be funny. And we know that because Patroclus is going to make fun of the fact that he's fallen out and it's looked like he's dove into the sea. And there was no more life left in him, as you might expect when he's dead. Over them did you then vaunt, O knight Patroclus. So this is not good form. This is naughty Patroclus. He's going to vaunt over him. That means he's going to insult him now that he's dead. So he's going to start calling out things over him. And this is what he says. And again, he's picking up on this idea from Homer that it's looked like he's gone for a dive. He's taken a dive, like in a football game, as he's died. Bless my heart, how active he is. So that's what he's saying. Wow, look at him, he's so active, the way he dives. And how well he dives. If we had been at sea, this fellow would have dived from the ship's side and brought up as many oysters as the whole crew could stomach, even in rough water, for he has dived beautifully off his chariot onto the ground. It seems then that there are divers also amongst the Trojans. Not just us Greeks who are good at diving, but you Trojans as well. What a great dive. Now how's that going to make the Trojans feel? They've just seen one of their royals get killed by a rock to the old headsroo and the eyeball poppage, and now he's standing there making fun of him. This is something you should never do. So as soon as he does this, Homer's indicating to the people listening that Patroclus has done something wrong. So he's been put in the wrong because you're supposed to, if you kill someone, you're supposed to still honor them. And this is an example, and there'll be a number of them, of times when the victorious person has not acted correctly. So they'll fall out of favor with the Greeks listening, they'll fall out of favor with the gods. As he spoke, he flung himself on Cabriones with the spring, as it were, of a lion, that while attacking a stockyard is himself struck in the chest, and his courage is his own bane. Even so furiously, O Patroclus, did you then spring upon Cabriones. So he's saying he's springing on his body like a lion, but he's also given a clue here that when a lion attacks a stockyard, he can himself be struck in the chest. So he's indicating that in his attack, Patroclus is going to get hurt. Hector sprang also from his chariot to the ground. The pair then fought over the body of Cabriones. Why would they fight over the body of a dead person? There could be several reasons for this, but one of the reasons is that when a person died in a Greek battle, you still needed to take the body back for a proper burial. Also, you need to make sure that you take the armor back to the family and back to your people. So if the enemy takes control of your body once you're dead, there is the chance that your body will be desecrated, and that your armor will be stripped, plundered, so to speak. So Hector sprang also from his chariot to the ground. The pair then fought over the body of Cebriones, as two lions fight fiercely on some high mountain over the body of a stag that they have killed. Even so did these two mighty warriors, Patroclus son of Menoetius and brave Hector, hack and hew at one another over the corpse of Cebriones. That there's a simile. It's not really what we would class as a Homeric simile. It's just they fought like they're lions. It's not as long and complicated as some of the other ones. Hector would not let him go when he had once got him by the head, while Patroclus kept fast hold to his feet. So what are they talking about here? They're grabbing the body. It's a comic moment, even though it's not supposed to be. So Hector's got him by the head, Patroclus has him by his feet, and they're going, I want it's mine, 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 like over I don't know what we would do a tug of war over, but they're doing it over the body of a dead man in the middle of the fighting, so it's pretty gross actually. And a fierce fight raged between the other Greeks and Trojans. As the east and south wind buffet one another when they beat upon some dense forest on the mountains, there is beech and ash and spreading commel. The top of the trees roar as they beat on one another, and one can hear the boughs cracking and breaking. Even so did the Trojans and Greeks spring upon one another. That is a Homeric simile. So great fighting is going backwards and forwards between the Greeks and the Trojans, and Patroclus and Hector having a tug of war with a human body. It's all very serious. And then Patroclus sprang like Ares, so another god with fierce intent. He's a god of war. And a terrific shout, he fell upon the Trojans, and thrice did he kill 9 men. My goodness. Go Patroclus, he's killed 27 people very quickly. So he's tugging and going backwards and forwards, and then he's like, alright, I'm gonna go and kill some Trojans. Bing bang boom, 27 of them dead. But as he was coming on like a god for a time, then know Patroclus was the hour of your end approaching. There's another hint, there's another foreshadowing we call it. For Phoebus, so that's Apollo, fought you in fell earnest. Patroclus did not see him as he moved about crushed, for he was enshrouded in thick darkness. Who's this? Apollo. He's sneaky. And the god struck him from behind on his back and his broad shoulders with the flat of his hand, so that his eyes turned dizzy. This is really interference from the god once again. So he's whacked him and he's made him dizzy. Phoebus Apollo beat the helmet from off his head, and it rolled rattling off over the horse's feet. So it's building out to his death. It is quite sad, where its horsehair plumes will all be alive with dust and blood. So his helmet falls into the dust and blood, and both of those are signals of death. So if your helmet falls in the dust, it's kind of a signal you're dying. The fact that it's falling into blood as well, obviously, it's foreshadowing his death. Never indeed had that helmet feared so before. Why had that helmet in particular never been knocked off someone's head? Well, it was Achilles' helmet. So the only person who was supposed to wear it is Achilles, and of course we know Achilles is pretty much invincible. For it had served to protect the head and comely forehead, so that comely means good looking, of the godlike hero Achilles. Now, however, Zeus delivered it over to be worn by Hector. So Hector is now going to take possession of that helmet. Nevertheless, the end of Hector also was near. My word, what's the point of reading this or listening to this whole poem? We all know Patroclus is going to die, we all know that Hector's going to die, and we all know that Achilles is going to not take the city of Troy, so he's probably going to die. It's all spoiler. So it's not about the great reveal. Most people who have listened to Homer already knew what was going to happen in the story. It's more the description of the events that is taking place and the beauty of the land. Nevertheless, the end of Hector also was near. The bronze-shod spear, so great and so strong, was broken in the hand of Patroclus, while his shield that covered him from head to foot fell to the ground, as did also the band that held it, and Apollo undid the fastenings of his corselet. So now he's removed all of his armor. It's almost like he's being undressed by Apollo. So he's dizzy, he's been smacked around, his armor's falling off, his shield's falling off, his helmet is falling off. So all of his protective equipment is gone. On this, his mind became clouded, so now he's also confused. His limbs failed him. Jeepers creepers, this is not a good position to be in as a warrior, to be dizzy, to be confused, to have no ability to control your limbs, and to not be wearing any armor. And he stood as one dazed. Whereon, if Euphorbus, son of Panthos, a Dardanian, the best spearman of his time, as also the finest horseman and fleetest runner, came behind him and struck him in the back with a spear midway between the shoulders. So he's got a spear in his back as well. This is not very good. This man, as soon as ever he had come up with his chariot, had dismounted 20 men, so proficient was he in all the arts of war. He it was, O knight Patroclus, that first drove a weapon into you, but he did not quite overpower you. You only had a spear coming out of your back. Euphorbus then ran back into the crowd after drawing his ashen spear out of the wound. So he stuck him, like you stick an animal, like you kill them, and he stuck in the spear and he's pulled it out, and it's all gross. He would not stand firm and wait for Patroclus, unarmed though he now was, to attack him. So even though he's obviously dizzy and he's confused and he's been waxed senseless by Apollo and he's not wearing any armor and he can't control his limbs, even after that and sticking a spear in his back, people are scared to fight against him. But Patroclus, unnerved alike by the blow the god had given him and by the spear wound, drew back under cover of his men in fear for his life. Hector on this, seeing him to be wounded and giving ground, forced his way through the ranks, and when close up with him, struck him in the lower part of the belly with a spear, driving the bronze point right through his belly. Ooh, that's not nice. So that he fell heavily to the ground, to the great something of the Greeks who were missing here, so they're going to be pretty happy. As when a lion has fought some fierce wild boar and worsted him, the two fight furiously upon the mountains over some little fountain at which they would both drink, and the lion has beaten the boar till he can hardly breathe. Even so did Hector, son of Priam, take the life of the brave son of Myrmidons, Patroclus, who had killed so many, striking him from close at hand and vaunting over him the whole while. So while he's doing it, he's now going to vaunt over him. And vaunting over someone again, it's being insulting to a person. So he's going to insult him now that he is killed. We've got a lovely little Homeric simile there. You've got these two wild animals fighting over some water, and one kills the other. In that way, Hector killed Patroclus. He got a little bit of help, you could say. But anyway, there we have it. Patroclus is going to fall down, and he's about to die. Then, as the life ebbed out of you, you answered, O knight Patroclus. So Patroclus here, this is the Hollywood moment. He's lying there. Hector, vaunt as you will, or make fun of me as you will, insult me. For Zeus, the son of Kronos and Apollo, have vouchsafed to you victory. They have ensured your victory. It is they who have vanquished me so easily, and they who have stripped the armor from my shoulders. Had 20 such men as you attacked me, all of them would have fallen by my spear. Fate and the son of Leto, so that I believe is Apollo, have overpowered me, and among mortal men, Euphorbus, you are yourself third only in killing me. So who's killed me? Well, actually it's Zeus and Apollo, and then Hector and Euphorbus. So it's the gods and then Hector and then Euphorbus. Those are the ones who have killed him. But he's saying that you couldn't have killed me if it wasn't from with the gods protecting you. I say further, and lay my saying to your heart, you too shall live but for a little season. You're only going to survive for a little while longer. Death and the day of your doom are close upon you, and they will lay you low by the hand of Achilles, son of Aeacus. Achilles is going to kill you, Hector. When he had thus spoken, his eyes were closed in death. His soul left his body and flitted down to the house of Hades, mourning its sad fate and bidding farewell to the youth and vigor of its manhood. So his spirit has left his body, and it's gone down to Hades. He's gone to the underworld, which of course was ruled by Hades as well. And that is the end of Patroclus. It is very sad, and we're left with these questions at the end of the book. Well, how on earth is it fair for Apollo to interfere in so many ways? Because if it wasn't for the gods, surely by now Troy would have fallen. And that's a good thought to end on.